standards. I'm interested to know if you will put, just drop in the chat a yes or no if you've ever done a webinar or an in-person with us about these new standards. If you've seen or heard us speak about them before, you can just drop a yes in the chat. Now, I'm assuming you're responding. I see no responses in the chat, so y'all are gonna have to help me. My team's gonna have to help me because apparently my chat's not working. But I assume that some of you have been with us. So just so you know, before we get started, this is our basic overview. We just want everyone to be familiar with our standards and support documents. So if you have been with us before, some of this may be new content. So or this may be repeat content. So we just ask that maybe you look through a different lens. How can you use this content to support teachers in your building? So we'll go ahead and get started with introductions. My name is Brenna McCormick, and I'm the Secondary Education Associate for ELA Standards in the Office of Assessment and Standards. I have with me today a couple of my colleagues. I have Mandy Hawker, who is our Elementary Education Associate, Tabitha Hughes, who is our Middle Level Associate, and then Casey Prince Harvey, who is our Humanities Education Associate and ELA Support. So we are excited to be with you today. I feel silly asking since I can't see what the chat says, but if you pop in your in the chat who you are, what district you're from, and what your role is. We appreciate you all being here this morning or this afternoon now. I will ask that you fill out an attendance form for us just so that we know who we are serving. I put it in the chat. I hope you all can see it. I can't see your chats, but I see Casey shaking her head yes. So I think that it is in there. If you'll just take a moment to complete that attendance form. And then I also have a note catcher for you today. So I'm going to pop that in. This is just to help you organize your thoughts as we're moving through the session today. It should ask you to make a copy. If you prefer to just write your notes, pen and paper, that's great. But we did want to have that resource available to you. So our purpose today is to provide an overview of the 2023 SC CCR ELA standards, and then provide an overview of the support documents that have been developed for those standards. So if you will take a moment and think about why you're here today, whether this is your first webinar or your first experience with us talking about these standards, or your 15th, and you're just signed up for everything because you want to make sure you know it all. I want you to just take a minute and think about a couple things. Number one, your lens. So what is your role? Are you a coach? Are you a classroom teacher? Are you an administrator? What do you hope to gain from our time together, and who will you share your learning with? What impact do you hope this will have? So just take a minute. If you're using the note catcher, this is box 1. And then once you have a response, if you would drop some in the chat, and then if one of my colleagues could read a couple, let's just get an idea for why we're here this afternoon. All right, does anybody want to let us know what do you hope to learn in this session today? You can unmute or pop it in the chat.
Brenna, we're seeing some great answers come in the chat.
Okay,
some
great.
people are saying that they are trying to build capacity in their staff. They are maybe a coach and they're trying to support teachers, and they're building with learning and implementing the new standards and just kind of getting acquainted with the new standards as they serve in their roles, hoping to provide PD for their teachers. So this is a great ready-made session you can go replicate. So you'll enjoy that. And then just any information that they can use to support the implementation of the standards for the 24-25 school year.
Thank you, Mandy. And good news, my chat all just generated, so I can see that now. Yes, so as Mandy said, we are going to give you we're recording this. You're going to have this recording, but you're also going to have access to this presentation. So if you are a coach or an admin or somebody who supports teachers, we've done that work for you, and you get to have it and go and use that with your people. So please know that those resources will be made available. You make sure to please mute yourself as you come in. Thank you. All right, let's get started. We have a 3-part agenda. We're going to start with the standards, followed by the support documents, and then wrap up with some clarity and closure. So I am going to play a video for you. And as I play this video, I want you to consider how this relates to the development of standards, of content standards. In your note catcher, box 2, there's a place for you to type some notes. But just be thinking, how does this align with the development of standards? Let's hope it works. Here we go. All right, so I'd like to hear from at least 2 people. If you want to unmute and let me know what you're thinking. How does that video relate to the development of a standards document?
I think the foundation, a good solid foundation that supports the upper levels, the vertical alignment. I teach 6th through 12th grade, so that's very important to me to understand how those standards build on each other and how I can deliver that instruction to my students.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol. And I think you'll see that with these new standards, the vertical articulation is crucial. Absolutely crucial. One more person.
The scaffolding required in order to build upon the basics is essential from kindergarten straight on through. And if it's not hit at the lower levels, then the teachers of the upper levels have to compensate for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is important that we at each grade level know and understand what we're responsible for and how it aligns with what's before us and what comes next. So a couple of our findings very right in line with what you all are saying. You know, once you miss a level, it's hard to go back. You're building a building and you skip, you know, level 4. We can't build level 5. There is no skipping level 4, right? Um, Also, just like I think it was Carol said, both start with a strong foundation upon which to build. Each level that is added is connected to both the previous level and the level to come. No level is independent of the others. They all have to work together to create a building that has a firm and strong foundation. Each level is shored up with various systems of support to ensure there's no breakdown in the foundation or the levels. You have your scaffolding, just like we have in our instruction. And then the construction of both standards and buildings takes planning, time, constant monitoring during that building process. And so I hope you'll see that as we review these new standards and the support documents, you'll see that we did it with a very like-minded vision with those who build buildings. We wanted to make sure that the foundation has been laid, that the vertical articulation is clear and strong, and that you have plenty of support to help you as you implement. So if you are brand new to these standards and you're not really sure even where to find them, I'm going to show you really quickly how to access them online. If you go to the State Department website, you're going to start with the icon at the top that's the yellow building, and you're going to click Districts and Schools. This will drop down and you will click Standards. And then one more page, you'll click Standards again. So it's a little bit hidden in there. And once you click Standards, you'll see that the 2015 standards are still listed, and they are listed first and on top. We wanted to make sure there's no confusion about what is being assessed this academic school year. So in just a few months, the 2015 standards will be assessed for the last time. So that is why 2015 is still up top. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that the 2023 standards are there and that you can access them. You just got to go down to the bottom. So one big question that we have received from the field is that why don't we have priority standards anymore? Many people have asked, are you guys publishing that priority standards document? And the answer to that is no, and here's why. That particular document was released during COVID, a really unprecedented time in education and really our world, where we needed to know, okay, so if we only have this much time with students and like 98% of that's not even in person with them, what is the priority? And so that document was born out of necessity. This is not the same as what some districts may call power standards. Maybe your district knows that writing is a particular problem in your district, and that's really going to be your power and your focus. Your districts are fully welcome to develop their own power standards document, but the State Department will not be releasing priority standards. And another reason, not just because the other one was born out of the necessity of COVID, but when we when our standards committee revised the 2023 standards, they had a very set criteria that they were looking for. They wanted to make standards that are rigorous, that define what all students should know and be able to do, standards that were clear, jargon-free, appropriate for the particular grade level, specific, standards that balanced content and skill, that had that vertical alignment across grade levels, but really importantly was manageable, that I could actually do this in 1 year with my students. And once you have all of those pieces, you don't need priority standards anymore. All the standards are a priority. And that is what I think we see with the 2023 document, is that every standard is a priority. If you're interested to know, from 2015 to 2023, The strands were reduced from 6 to 4. So that's a 33% reduction for the strands. The standards were reduced from 44 to 24, which is right at a 50% reduction. And the indicators went from 116 to 51 indicators. So that's a 56% reduction. So I think you'll see that as we have refined the standards, they all have become a priority. So what are those 4 strands? We start with Foundations of Literacy, which is a brand new strand, followed by Applications of Reading, which I like to say is if you took RL and RI and just married them together. We have Research, which it includes inquiry, which is what we had before. And then communications, or written and oral communications. So that's our writing, listening, and speaking. So those are the 4 strands. Our coding has shifted just a little because of our new strands. If you'll notice, you start with your subject code, that's ELA, followed by the grade level. This particular example on the screen is grade 6, and then followed by the strand. And this is what is different, these codes. So Foundations of Literacy would be coded with an F, Applications of Reading is an AOR, Research R, and then the written and oral communications would be C. You follow that with the standard, and then you follow that with the indicator. And this is also something, if you didn't know, the way that this is coded is something that is like law. This is how it's supposed to be coded. And the good news is that moving forward, all content areas are going to be shifting in this direction so that you have this similar line across content areas. Within our standards document, there are 7 key features. So we're going to go through each of these 7 features pretty quickly, but we want you to just be aware that when you're looking at the document, these are some things you want to look for. So first of all, the document is color-coded. There is a map included in the standards document. You have what are called grade level entrance statements, the standards and indicators themselves, indicator insights, which are just a gift to teachers. We are so excited about those. Our overarching expectations, and then your appendices. So we're going to take a moment and we're going to look at each one of these a little more in depth. Starting with our color coding. So if you look at a digital copy, or if you get lucky and somebody prints you a color copy, then you will notice that the Foundations of Literacy strand has purple color coding. Applications of Reading has green. Research is blue, and then your written and oral communications are red. So you'll see a band across the top of those pages or those standards that show what color is represented by that strand. Then you have a standards map. And here's what I love most about the standards map. This map, this is 1 page, and it's every standard and indicator. That's it. It all fits on 1 page. And that's a celebration. We can see all of the indicators, starting with your Foundations of Literacy. You see there are 4 standards. Applications of Reading, which has 10, Research has 1, and then your written and oral communications has 9. And we're going to look at those a little bit easier because I know that screen is hard to see. Big shifts we want you to notice is that we are shifting to a systematic explicit reading instruction of phonics and phonemic awareness. I probably think that you've probably heard that, right, with the Foundations of Literacy. And that the foundation standards are primarily for K through 2 students. There are 2 indicators that stretch 3-5, and that's in fluency and word solving. So let's look at these more closely. Starting with Foundations of Literacy. There are 4 standards: phonological and phonemic awareness, print concepts, decoding and encoding, and fluency. If you look at the map, it will also tell you the indicator, what grade level has that indicator, and then it gives you the code. Same thing for applications of reading. You have 10 standards, followed by the indicators. These are all K through English 4, and then your code. Research, 1 standard with 5 indicators. Notice that investigating and refining knowledge is K through English 4. Credibility is grade 2 through English 4. And then relevant synthesis and citation are grade 4 through English 4. I think another thing you'll notice about these standards and indicators is they are very developmentally appropriate, and that skills are introduced where students are ready for them. Finally, we have written and oral communications where we have 9 standards and 9 indicators. There is one that only goes K through 5, and that is handwriting. We know that does not mean that our 6th through 12th graders do not need instruction in handwriting, because they absolutely do. But the specific instruction happens K through 5 there with our standards and indicators. So that is number 2. Number 3 are our grade level entrance statements. At the beginning of each set of grade level standards, we have an entrance statement that is like that grade level in a nutshell. I think these would be very beneficial for parents, for teachers that are new to a grade level, to just say, hey, what am I responsible for? And these entrance statements give you a snapshot of what type of text should be read, what genre are we writing, what's the purpose for what we're doing, what can I expect in this grade. So excellent tools to pass out at the beginning of the year for parents along with your syllabus, but also for anyone who just needs a quick snapshot of what do we do, for example, in 6th grade. So that is there in the standards document before each grade level. We obviously then have standards and indicators. So my question for you first now, and you can type this in the chat, what is the difference between standards and indicators? I think my chat might be delayed a little bit, Mandy, but I see you nodding and smiling, so I assume there are responses. You want to give me 1 or 2 of them?
Sure. Amanda Granger, I think she hit it on the head when she said standard is the end goal of grade 12 and the indicator is the now. I like that.
Yes.
Good way of phrasing it.
I do like that. Yes. So that's exactly right. And one thing that we as a team have noticed over the last 18 months or so is that we never want to assume that everyone has that same foundational knowledge of things like standards and indicators. For some of us, it may seem like, yeah, well, duh, that's this. But for others, no one ever explained it to you. And that's okay. So we want to make sure that we all have that same foundational knowledge. Our standards represent what students should know and be able to do by the end of their academic career. If you look at a kindergarten standard and an English 4 standard, they are going to be exactly the same verbatim. That doesn't mean we expect kindergartners to do the same, right? We just want a kindergarten teacher to know what's the end goal. When they leave English 4, this is where they should be. Our indicators are what students are expected to learn by the end of the year. These are measurable, they're progressive, and they're developmentally appropriate. Together, these 2 create what is the foundation for instructional planning. We have both the destination and the map. The standard is our destination, the indicators are our map, and each grade level is responsible for their piece of that map. So you can say when your administration comes in and says, excuse me, why is your standard not on the board? And you've had like RL 5.1 on the board for like 18 weeks, right? You can say, I'm not supposed to put my standards on the board. I'm supposed to put my indicators on the board, because in South Carolina, teachers don't teach standards. In ELA, we teach indicators. So that's just a little shift in language that you can help us make. It just helps focus our planning and really be intentional about what we're teaching. We're teaching our grade level indicator. So in our new standards document, this is an example of AOR 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll notice that your strand is at the top, and there's that color coding we were talking about. AOR is green. This one has 4 standards listed on this page. So standard AOR 1, 2, 3, and 4. Following those underlined, bolded standards, you have your indicators. So under AOR 1, you have 1.1 and 1.2. What grade level is this? Y'all are gonna have to I'm gonna have to do lip reading because I can't. 6. Yeah, 6. Good. Good, because my chat's backed up again. Yes, grade 6. Yes, very good. So this is grade 6, AOR 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, my personal, probably favorite part of the standards is these indicator insights. Okay, indicator insights are little tips and hints that have been put into the standards along the way, where we thought maybe we could provide some additional clarification for that particular indicator. So it's not to confine students into certain performances. It's just there to provide a starting point for instruction for teachers, to give them a little hint as to what's to come, what came before. We wanted to make sure that these were as clear and explicit as possible. So our standards writing team thought, you know what, why don't we add these indicator insights to really help teachers understand what's happening. So looking at that same example of AOR 1 for grade 6, you'll notice that 1.1 and 1.2 both have indicator insights. In AOR 1.1, students are asked to analyze how specific events and descriptive details develop the plot. Well, my definition of descriptive details may be different from Mandy's definition of descriptive details. And that isn't helpful if Mandy's teaching something different than I am 2 doors down, right? So the indicator insight here is that descriptive details refer to sensory details. So now I know as a 6th grade teacher that when teaching descriptive details, need to be focusing on the 5 senses. Mandy knows that. Every 6th grade teacher knows that. And you'll also notice that this language is defined in our glossary. We have AOR 1.2. It tells us in grade 5, students analyzed how figurative language impacts meaning, but grade 6 adds mood and tone. So now I know for sure, mood and tone are new words for my 6th graders. They're not going to know that. I'm introducing that for the first time. And maybe that's where I need to put some instructional emphasis. Indicator insight down at the bottom for 3.1. Just a heads up, you're doing perspective here in 6th grade. Well, in English 1, that's going to turn into irony. So really giving hints to teachers so that they know what emphasis they can be making in their instruction. Now, you may notice occasionally there is an indicator that does not have an insight. So why not? Why didn't we provide insight for every indicator? We only included insights for indicators that could be better understood with insights to support document resources. So if we wanted to say, hey, this indicator, we have a support document to help with it. Definitions for terms within the indicator. If we wanted to say, hey, this is defined in the glossary, or a connection to be made to later or prior language. So if we didn't think that it was necessary to provide clarity to that indicator, we didn't put one. The next key feature we have is the overarching expectations. Overarching expectations are not standards. Okay, so we'll say that first. It's not its own strand. These are just the fundamental skills and processes that we have to be able to do and demonstrate for ELA to be successful, and quite honestly, any content area to be successful. I think you'll notice that when I show them to you that you'll say, you know what, that's not just ELA, that's every classroom at every grade level. Students should be reading and writing for a variety of purposes. They should be acquiring, refining, and sharing knowledge, making inferences. A lot of people said, wait a minute, why don't the new standards have inferencing? We're not making inferences anymore? Well, of course we are, but that's an expectation. You can't read and truly understand what you're reading if you're not making inferences. So we don't need that to be an indicator. We need that to be an expectation. Bottom line, this is how we do business in ELA. We collaborate with others. We use active listening skills. We cite evidence to explain and justify reading. We create quality work. These are not standards. They're not indicators. They're expectations for every classroom. When I walk into your classroom, I see students reading and writing. I see them collaborating. I see them making inferencing and citing evidence. Also included with these overarching expectations are some progressions. So if you're wondering, well, okay, I get it, that's the expectation, but I can't expect the same thing for English 4 as I can grade 3. What does that look like? You'll see in the standards document that we have given you just a general idea of what that looks like in grades K2, 3, 5, and grade 6 through English 4. So by grade band, we've given you a progression. For example, overarching expectation 4 is the collaboration expectation. Kindergarten, we're practicing taking turns while speaking. But in English 4, maybe we're explaining, justifying, or thinking about a topic, supporting claims and counterclaims. So the progression looks different, but we should be doing it in every grade level. So my question for you now is the profile of the South Carolina graduate. We've all seen it. You probably have one on the wall in your classroom. Tell me, and this is box number 5 in your note catcher if you want to jot it down, how do those overarching expectations support the profile of the South Carolina graduate? So just take a second to think. You can drop a response in the chat. All right, let's hear from at least one person. Somebody unmute and tell me, what are you noticing overlaps between the profile of a South Carolina graduate and our overarching expectations?
The collaboration and teamwork, there's collaborate with others and use active listening skills.
Absolutely. It's almost the same language, right? That if this is what our students need to be successful when they leave our, K through 12 classrooms, then that's what we should be expecting from them every day, kindergarten through English 4. So now I have a task for you, and I want you to think about those overarching expectations. And I put a very abbreviated version of them in the chat, but I want you to rank them personally on your own from 1 to 6. 1 being the most important, 6 being the least important. and then provide reasoning. So take a second. How would you order them? All right, Mandy, I'm gonna need your help for this one in the chat. If I have any K-2 friends in this meet, tell me what your number one was in the chat. Any K-2? What about 3-5? What was your number one?
We had Shelby say that collaborating and active listening skills, and we have heard that a lot from our K-2 and 3-5 people. Those skills are essential in those grade bands.
Mm-hmm. All right, what about our 6-8 folks? What did you put as your number one?
We see reading and writing for a variety of purposes.
And our secondary folks, where are my high school teachers? What was your number one?
We see some acquiring and refining and sharing knowledge, that research process, definitely. And then we see citing evidence and making inferences. Collaboration, still really important at the secondary level.
Yeah. Thank you, Mandy. So we always find it interesting that the grade bands tend to have different number ones, but within the grade band, they're very similar. Because I think that really your lens, your perspective, the age of the students that you're working with, it changes what you might consider to be most important. But at the end of the day, is there one that's more important than the other? Not really. Right? They're so interwoven, they're so reliant on one another. You can't do this one without this one. That there is no real level of, ranking of importance. They are all necessary expectations. So again, our findings, this again is just how we do business in ELA. We read and write for a variety of purposes. We collaborate, we listen. These are important skills in English language arts and in all content areas. So if you're an admin or a coach and you're serving a school, I would put in a plug for the overarching expectations in all classrooms. That's a way that other content areas can support our work. We have multimedia literacies. We're still making inferences. We're still citing evidence, and citations and formatting. We actually have support for in our research support documents. So as those progressions grow, when you're getting into high school and you're wondering, well, am I doing MLA? Am I doing APA? What should I ask a third grader to cite? Certainly not a full MLA citation, right? We have some support for that in the research support document. Our final key feature is the appendices. We have 3. A is your foundations of literacy, grade band articulations. B are the vertical progressions of spiral standards. And then C are the acknowledgements. So I'll give you a quick look at what that foundations of literacy grade band articulation looks like. The standard is at the top, and then you'll see kindergarten through 2nd grade listed horizontally. So you can see in kindergarten, this is the expectation, followed by 1st grade and then 2nd grade. And for some of them, you see there isn't an indicator. It's only for kindergarten, for example, or kindergarten and 1st grade. The vertical progression document for the rest of our strands goes vertically. your standards at the top, and it starts at the top with English 4. So if you are one of my kindergarten or first grade friends and you never looked up all the way to English 4, that's what that E means. So E4, E3, E2, E1, that's just English 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we start with our end goal, and it goes all the way down to kindergarten. There is a support document called the Indicator Insights, Vertical Progressions with Indicator Insights. So it looks just like this, except it has another column, and it's those Indicator Insights. If you're going to print something, that's what you want to use your copies on. That is a very, very helpful tool. So just know that if I'm thinking about what am I going to have right next to me, that's what it is. So now we're going to do a little pop quiz. You're going to put your answers in the chat. So my first question for you is, how are the standards and indicators coded? So what's the order of information? Just pop it in the chat. What comes first? You've got your we getting it? All right. So you first have your subject code, the grade level, then the strand, then the standard, then the indicator. So if you remembered those without looking back at your notes, give yourself 5 stars. Number 2, which feature includes examples of the types of text students should expect to read and write? I said this would be a great tool for your parents at the beginning of the year. We seeing it in the chat? All right. I'm watching Mandy's face to make sure. Yes, our grade level entrance statements. Number 3, what's the difference between standards and indicators? Y'all knew this one before we even started. All right. Standards are our goal for the academic career. That's our destination. Indicators are the grade level, the now. 4, which feature provides additional information about indicators that can be used as a starting point for instruction? My favorite part. Our indicator insights. Very good. And finally, which key feature includes the expectations for how we do business in ELA? Excellent. Our overarching expectations. Very good. So that was the quick and dirty of the 2023 ELA Standards document. It's a lot to unpack, but I hope it gives you a starting point for digging in and getting to know those standards. But we're going to hop right into the overview of the support documents. I think you'll be pleased to see how much support you have. Some people have said to the point of being overwhelmed by how much support you have. We're going to focus in on 2 particular documents that we think will have the most bang for your buck. And hopefully that'll help some of that overwhelm and give you a place to start. Again, I'm going to show you how to find the support documents. You start just the same. You go to the State Department website and you click that districts and schools icon at the top. Once you click that, again, you will click standards, followed by instructional resources. So this is where the change is. Instead of clicking standards, you will now click instructional resources. Once you click instructional resources, 2015 will still be at the top. Again, we are assessing 2015 this year, but if you scroll to the bottom, you see a very long list of instructional resources for 2023. So that is how you will access all of these. So we currently have 16 support documents ready to go for you. So we have special education insights, multilingual learner insights, gifted and talented insights, how to navigate this infographic. So it's a document that just really shows you those 7 key features in an infographic form. You have the vertical articulation with indicator insights, which is what I mentioned earlier as a really strong tool. You have your conventions matrix, your research support document, text complexity support, vocabulary support, rhetoric support, side note, my 6th grade teachers, you now are introducing rhetoric. So that's going to be good for you. Foundations of Literacy support document is the only one that is not currently live on the website, but we have a goal for end of January to have that posted and live for you. We have the glossary, and then we have the crosswalks. Lots of resources. So what we're going to do now is take a moment to review some of these documents. So I'm going to put a link in the chat to the support docs. And I'm also going to put a link for a graphic organizer. What I'd like you to do is to answer what, so what, and now what for 3 documents. The first one I want you to look at is the glossary. The second one is the vertical articulations with indicator insights. And the third is a review of a document of your choice. So you're going to have about 3 minutes per document. It's not a lot. This is just a skim and scan. And I'll tell you after every 3 minutes to move to the next one. Start with number 1 now.
Rena, there's someone that says they can't open the support doc link. Just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, thank you, Tab. I will get that. Might be because it's a tiny URL. Some districts don't let them. One of my teammates can get it faster than me. Let me know I'm having to go to the website, but it's very slow. And remember, you're going to scroll to the bottom to get the 2023. All right, it's been about 3 minutes. If you want to shift over, if you started with the glossary, you now might want to go to your vertical articulation document, and I put those links in the chat. All right, and finally, now you choose a document of your choice. So look at all the choices on the instructional resources page. Move this over so you can see. My sixth grade folks, middle school, you might want to look at rhetoric, high school, maybe research or grammar and conventions matrix. That was a very quick review of some of those support documents, but I'd love to hear from at least two people. What are you thinking? What did you see that you liked? What are you hoping to dig into a little bit more? Let's have two people unmute and let me know your thinking.
I really liked the standards crosswalk document. I feel like that will be a really great way to transition teachers from the old standards to the new standards, to kind of show like some of what we're doing is the same, but we might be shifting our focus a little bit. And I think it really helps too to see the vertical alignment on that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Britta. One more person.
I liked the grammar and conventions matrix. A lot of times I used to teach just 8th grade, and we had a hard time figuring out who was teaching this part of grammar, who was teaching that part. And now that I'm in a 6 through 12 teaching situation at an alternative school, I like being able to see where each of the grammar with the conventions need to come in, and where I need to go back and refer what I need to refer to when I'm trying to get that across to my students.
Absolutely. It's going to be super helpful for every grade level to know what's been introduced when. Not that, if something's introduced in grade 6, that it should be mastered by the end of grade 6, but we know as a 7th grade teacher, hey, I know that was introduced. So you've at least heard of it. Very good. So I'm going to pivot just a little bit because I had a thought while you guys were looking. Our team recently completed 10 weeks of travel across the state, delivering PD around these ELA standards in a 2-day regional PLO. And for those groups, we created a resource landing page that was all things standards. And so I thought, let me give you all access to that resource landing page so that if you want to do a deeper study into something, you have the resources at your fingertips. So a couple of things to just take note of on this first page. You've got the link to the standards and the instructional resources. You've got webinar links here if you want to know more about rhetoric or research. You have on page 2 another video of the overview of the standards. You've got those crosswalk documents by strand, a text complexity webinar. This page 3 probably won't be as important if you are not on like an implementation plan team in your district. But then you've got resources for special populations, and then again, additional resources. I specifically wanted to point out this One Bite at a Time reading guide. If you really haven't dug into the standards yet, this is a great place to start. It's almost like a discussion guide. So it says, read this part of the standards, and then here's some ways to reflect and discuss. If you're looking for ways to really implement indicators at a grade classroom level, you can use the cross-check method. That is a great template to really help you break down indicators and make sure that what you're teaching is aligned in both rigor and content. So again, this is just a plethora of resources that we've used with other groups that I thought, you know what, I bet you all would appreciate that as well. It's a lot, so just bookmark it, come back to it when you have some free time, LOL, and take a look at it. We hope that will be helpful to you. So that being said, I'm going to skip ahead just a little. And the last thing that I'm going to ask before we listen and linger and take questions, because we'll stay around for a few minutes, is that you give us a little bit of feedback. Let us know how this session was for you. I'm going to put the feedback survey in the chat, I think. Guys, somebody have the link. This is an old tiny URL. I think it'll still work, but try that. Yes. Give us a little bit of feedback. Our names are on there as well as the title of the session, and then we will listen and linger and answer any questions.
Yeah, Brenda, same thing about the tiny URLs blocked in districts, and so they can't get them.
I put the other link in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't see my chat today, y'all. That's very annoying. All right, it is 1 o'clock and that is our hour. So if you need to hop off, feel free to do so. If you have a question or something you want to talk about a little bit more, we've got a few minutes and we'll stick around. So feel free to unmute yourself or drop a question in the chat, but my team will have to read to me because I can't see it. But we appreciate you being here this new year first webinar. You have perfect attendance. We hope you will come to all the other 15 of them I think we have planned this semester. And we just appreciate all the work that you do.
Hello. Can you hear me, ma'am?
I can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have your name, Mandy Hawker, but who are the other people? You said, oh, excuse me. I am not using my reading skills. Sorry.
No worries. It's Mandy, Brenna, Casey, Prince, Harvey, because we have
yes,
two Caseys.
I saw it as soon as I pushed myself all the way up to the screen so I could see. Then I saw your name. I'm sorry. Thank you all.
No worries.
Thank you for this. I always feel overwhelmed because I wish it was at a time that I could sit down and digest, but you know how that is in the world of education. But I just appreciate all of the hard work and effort you all have put in to these documents. They are amazing. And I think once teachers have an opportunity, you know, while we engage in conversations, to just see what's already prepared for them, I think that's going to help alleviate some of the anxiety. I mean, we're going to have that because we want to do a good job, but you all
Yes.
have done an amazing job with these documents and sponsoring these webinars so that we can feel more comfortable. Those of us who are in positions where we have to support teachers can feel a bit more comfortable doing so.
Well, thank you for that feedback. We appreciate it so much. And we're only 4 of us, right? We're doing the best we can to equip you because you're the ones actually out there doing the work. So we appreciate the effort that you also are putting in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions, comments?
Just want to say thank you, ladies. Sorry, my camera was off, but
It's okay.
this has been very beneficial. I'm in Beaufort County, and right before I jumped on, we were notified that tomorrow will be e-learning.
Yep.
So I know you can only imagine, and I
Yep.
didn't want you to see people constantly coming in and out to ask questions.
Oh, welcome back.
Right? Like we just got back, really. But yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
completed the survey for you.
Thank you.
And